Hello, everybody. Welcome to Dungeon Masters Guild Design Dash. If this is your first time tuning in, you are in for a treat. Dungeon Masters Guild Design Dash is, I was going to say, the most chaotic, but also possibly the only, to my knowledge, D&D design game show out there. It certainly does bring the chaos, though. Imagine a show like Iron Chef or Project Runway or shows like that, but it's D&D design. In a moment, we'll reveal a secret theme. Words are hard. And these sorry souls down here are going to have to design us an entire D&D encounter with only 15 minutes on the clock. I am Lysa Penrose. I am the brand manager over at Dungeon Masters Guild and one of your hosts today. And I'm joined by my co-host, Jack.
Hello, I'm Jack. I'm a creator relations representative for One Bookshelf, specifically D&D Guild. So I read a lot of the new stuff that comes out there.
Mm-hmm. Let's meet our contestants today. Entering the arena, our champion from last month's Design Dash, Omega's like, please don't hype me up, is the critical bard, Omega Jones. Omega, introduce yourself.
Hi, yeah, my name is Omega Jones, also known as the Critical Bard everywhere. I'm a professional actor and vocalist out of the Midwest. I am also a professional tabletop gamer, professional player thing. I've worked with companies like Critical Role, World of Darkness, Wizards. Specifically, I created the Critter Hug theme song for Critical Role, which you will hear in 4 days, on July 6th, actually. What else? I do lots of D&D. I have many shows, including Let's Get Wild Mount and Dungeons and Durags. Both shows I executive produce on my channel, Critical Bard. No, that's a lie. Dungeons and Durags is when I need diverse games. See, I know things. It's early. I have chai. Anywho, yeah, that's me. Glad to be back. I'm not going to be as good. I don't think I can top bees, so we'll see.
Yeah, our theme last week was bees, or last month rather, so who knows what it could be this month. Omega, from your first experience in the arena, are there any takeaways or suggestions or tips that you have as a champion that you're willing to share with Jasmine and Jeremy?
Don't overthink. You don't have the time to overthink. Just write. And it might not make sense, but as long as you can explain it well, I think you're fine.
Mm-hmm. That's it. You barely have time to just think, let alone overthink, to be frank. So that is great advice. And we are moving along to Jasmine, who has some amazing supplements up on Dungeon Masters Guild. Jasmine, introduce yourself and let folks know how they might know you through your work.
Hi, I'm Jasmine. I don't have nearly as long of a resume as Omega. I'm just a humble DM skilled creator. I publish under Drifters Game Workshop, and you may have seen my work as Captains and Cannons, the naval supplement for D&D 5e, and the Hammond's Harvesting Handbook series.
Mm-hmm. I always hear so much hype around the harvesting series, especially. So Jasmine, you got the message like, hey, do you want to be on Design Dash? Is there anything you did to prepare for your time in the arena, or are you winging it?
I'm pretty much winging it. I live in Australia, so it's 4 a.m. down here. The most I did was like chug a Red Bull before this.
You know what? That is the energy you need. I love it. And last of our contestants, but certainly not least, is Jeremy. Jeremy, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Jeremy Forbing, and I'm on TM's Guild a lot. A lot of PDFs with varying levels of success, but some of them people have liked, particularly Ravenloft stuff. People have enjoyed from me, and it seems to have opened a door to I just announced yesterday that I get to do some work for the D&D Adventurers League, that the epic that's going to cap off the next season. I'm very excited to co-design with the ultra-talented Ginny Loveday. So stoked about that. So I guess just find me on Twitter, find me on DM's Guild, and find my epic that comes out. I think it'll be at a con in January, but then it won't actually be on the Guild till next September, so way in the distant future.
That's really exciting. If folks listening are like, what's an epic? It's basically like multiple tables. It could be even like hundreds of people, honestly, playing the same game all at once, influencing each other's tables. So cool. And you get to design one in my favorite setting. I am green with envy. But if you're hype for Ravenloft and spooky things with the recent book release, check out Jeremy's work. We've done introductions. So I'm about to reveal the theme, but for folks who are tuning in for the chat, while folks are designing for those 15 minutes, we need to put together a rubric, Jack and I, on which we're going to grade these designs. So we'll need your help deciding a scale on which to grade. So 1 to 5 stars, 1 to 5 kobolds in a trench coat. You help us decide what that is, maybe something based off the theme. And then we'll pick 3 categories. Sometimes we have secret categories that unlock on which to grade them. So get your creative juices flowing for that. Okay. Everyone do your own personal drum roll as I reveal the Design Dash secret theme, which is the most forgotten realm. Wizards of the Coast is hyping their Magic the Gathering Forgotten Realms mashup. So we are celebrating with the theme, the most forgotten realm. In an encounter, whatever that means for you, run with it. And like Omega said, don't overthink. You have 15 minutes, so that's going to be 21 minutes. We'll give you till 22 minutes past the hour to design. So I recommend taking headphones off and getting ready to dash away. All right. Bunkerman91 in chat says, definitely the wasteland of lost socks underneath the dryer. That's a great idea. What's the first thing that pops into your head, Jack, with that theme?
The most forgotten realm. All of the rest of the forgotten realms.
I mean,
Sword Coast.
I mean, to be real, like no shade, but
No shade, but there's people. It's funny how small people think that the Forgotten Realms is just Sword Coast, but it's like a whole huge.
It's an entire world, yeah.
And there's so many cool other like setting areas and stuff. Other than that, the most forgotten realm is, I kind of agree with Bunkerman. Like my closet, there's a lot of stuff in there that I don't want to go through.
Yeah. I like the idea of, I mean, I think everyone can relate to dryer socks getting lost, but I think in general, maybe creating like a little pocket dimension where lost objects go could be really cool. I know in Japanese mythology, there's lots of like demons or monsters based off of objects that get lost. So I feel like it'd be cool to draw some inspiration from that. But my favorite thing about Dash is that typically all 3 designs are super different. So I'm really excited to see what these 3 come up with. So folks in chat, if you can think of something related to the most forgotten realm for our scale, let's start there, 1 to 5 somethings. Throw your ideas in a live chat. We'll keep an eye on that. But in the meantime, Jack, is there anything cool going on Dungeon Masters Guild right now?
Yeah, I guess I wasn't here last month, but in the last month since the last episode, or since I was on the episode, the new Ravenloft book came out, and there's been lots of Ravenloft stuff. Specifically wanted to point out, let me get the link here, Dark Lords of Ravenloft. Because there are so many... Oh, they're not going to let me post links anymore. Okay.
Oh, no, Nightbot's mad at you!
Okay, well, it's actually in the hottest bar on Dungeon Masters Guild.
Okay, easy to find. Yeah.
Yes, but in the new Von Richten's guide, it explains a lot of the Dark Lords, but it doesn't really stat them or give you ways to like create encounters with them, and that's where this PDF comes in. It's got stats, but at different levels, so that you could actually go at like a low level and take on a Dark Lord, because instead of having to wait till level 20.
Mm-hmm.
So you could actually have a whole campaign where you're just going through all the domains and taking on Dark Lords, and they'll scale to whichever one you want.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, one thing about Ravenloft is that they're prisons for the Dark Lords, right? So even death doesn't let them escape that prison. So I love that they have it at different levels, because you could even fight them and then come back at a higher level and expect the domain to be awesome now, and the Dark Lord's there again and more powerful.
Yeah. And it's like really well produced. There's really great art, and it looks really good, and it's only $5. So.
Oh yeah.
So I really like that. Another more whimsical one that popped up is a tea house, and it's just a fully fleshed out NPC tea house that you can just drop into any campaign. It has inventory, NPCs, suggestions for encounters, and it's just a really cool self-contained little thing that you could plop in during like a downtime.
Yeah, I feel like that would be great, even if you don't plan for it in a session, to take it apart for DM inspiration too, because sometimes players will surprise you by wanting to go to a shop for something specific, for some wacky plan that they have. And then they love the shopkeep, and so now they want to do everything and touch everything in the store.
I want to own this shop.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a pay what you want title too. So having that kind of like in your back pocket for something like that is really good. Also, I really like Eberron, but not a lot of people know a lot about Eberron. People are more familiar with Forgotten Realms, Ravenloft, and I found Welcome to Sharn, a title that is 4 first level encounters that are just kind of introducing new players to Eberron, and how the houses and the marks and the city and how it's a setting in itself and is different from other things. So that's really cool, and I really like explaining that whole new setting to people.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't super familiar with Eberron. It was Forgotten Realms and Classic Ravenloft were what I was introduced to as a new player. So when Eberron was re-released in 5th edition, or updated for 5th edition, it's really intimidating because that's so rich with lore.
Yeah, it's a whole other, it's completely different from Forgotten Realms, and it's got its whole own thing. And speaking of Eberron, an Italian translation of the Exploring Eberron has come out. So if you want an Italian version of that title, you can get that too.
Yeah, in really print cool. as well.
So yeah, I really like Sharn. Welcome to Sharn, and that's really fun. I could probably go on all day about new stuff on DM's Guild. There is a creator, Jim Heston. If you search that name, Heston, he has released probably 20 to 25 different subclasses, monsters, a couple of Ravenloft things in the past month. I mean, he's just, and they're all really well done. They're like a Beholder player character, the Urbanite class. It's all really interesting stuff, and like I feel like I see a new one pop up on the guild like every other day.
Wow, so prolific. Definitely check those out. It's cool seeing well, I don't know if he's necessarily a new creator or just like really active right now.
Yeah, I don't know if they've been around for a long time. But they have a very specific style to the cover, so they're very noticeable. I would link some in the chat, but I can't.
Take notes, everybody. I'll try to remember, excuse me, when we upload this on the One Bookshelf YouTube for the VOD, send me those links and I'll send them to our coworker who uploads them, so they'll be under the video for those of you watching on YouTube. As we're chatting, I want to shout out some really cool ideas that Taloya in chat is sharing just a whole bunch of ideas, 3 actually, so 1 for each contestant if they still needed one. But the Forgotten Realm of the Inverted World, that's pretty cool. The Realm of the Repeating Week. The Forgotten Sunken Realm of Lord Nessie. I love that. I love me a weird lake cryptid.
I like the repeating week. Anything that reminds me of Groundhog's Day, the movie, that's right up my alley.
Yeah, and I think that's so perfect because it plays with like forgetting and remembering because the week is repeating. That's a really cool call out there. We do have a suggestion for our scale that we're grading on. 1 to 5 missing socks.
Yeah.
Which I think let's roll with. So next, in our next, the minutes that we have left, we need to pick 3 categories to grade people on. Usually we frame these like superlatives. Like during our Ravenloft challenge, it was like scariest encounter. And that's fun because then we can award each person a superlative at the end. If you're in the live chat, throw out some suggestions. But Jack, are you thinking of one right now with your thinking face?
My thinking face. Let's see. Forgotten most. I mean, obviously the most forgotten, but that seems obvious.
Mostest forgottenest.
The most I can't remember what it was.
Oh, Taloya. That's a really fun one, but also super specific. The most surprising foe to friend switch. Least memorable NPC. I really like that suggestion. And I feel like that's broad enough that it's likely everyone will include some sort of NPC. All right. Least memorable NPC I like, for sure. Taloya says the least used but plot special item. I like the idea of some sort of item.
Yeah, that's very common.
Item-based superlative, yeah.
I feel like that's common in my specific groups where we are like, early in the campaign, the DM's like, oh, you found a magic wand or something, and then it's completely forgotten by the end of the thing, and it turns out that was what you needed to one-shot the boss at the very end of the campaign.
Tell me if this feels too specific in that it might not come up for everyone. But could we reframe that as like most forgettable trinket?
Yeah.
Like most that. Abandoned plot hooks.
Yeah. These are all just like, you're ringing it when I DM, and I'm like, what about the barkeep whose whole house is on fire right now? And they're like, I don't know. There's some flowers over here that need picked.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to put most forgettable trinket because there's probably going to be an item of some sort mentioned, and trinket can be like even an item that doesn't have a lot of focus. Oops, my window sounds are on, so sorry for those watching. Just got a really loud ping. Let's mute that. Boop. Okay. Most forgettable. Oops, forgettable trinket. And then we need one more. Taloya says most unexpected monster encounter. Can you frame that in a forgettable, most forgotten-y way?
Let's see.
I wonder if anyone is going to put in a monster that. Oh my god! Oh! I thought you were just like adding that to your superlative. I wonder if someone's gonna put in monsters that like mess with people's memories. That could be cool. Or if people are going to use like memory as a theme in general. I think that'd be really cool. I haven't peeked at anybody's designs yet. As I've already suggested one category. So Jack, I'm going to let you suggest one. As you're thinking, I want to let folks know that after Design Dash, unless you want to stay tuned for the awesome reruns that Wizards of the Coast runs, which if you missed anything this week, you totally should do. At some point today or this weekend, head over to YouTube and check out the channel Nerd Immersion. So during our monthly Design Dash, Jack calls out titles that we think are really cool. Nerd Immersion on the first Friday of the month as well does DM's Guild Spotlight videos. So if you want someone else's, a not staff member's perspective on what are the coolest titles that came out the past month, Nerd Immersion has suggestions for you. And maybe even, I'm trying to think of like a more subtle, coy way to say this, but there might be a coupon code, I'm just saying, in Nerd Immersion's video. So go check that out for sure. Let's see.
Most left out, but biggest detail that should have been remembered. Does that make sense?
I don't understand what that means at all.
Like, your DM has put in a super obvious clue.
Oh, okay.
And nobody gets it.
Okay. How to think about, like, how do we word that?
The most glossed over instruction,
like clue. The most like subtle clue, the easiest to miss clue.
Yeah, you could just do the most easiest to miss. That might be a little bit broader.
Okay, most easiest to miss. Yeah, I like that. All right. Ooh, they have less than a minute left. It is 21 past. I gave them till 22 past to design.
Ooh, we didn't even peek. We're going into a blind.
Yeah, I'm gonna personally peek. But I'm not gonna. But I'm gonna react, but not show people, since we're gonna hear. Oh, actually, right now, we're gonna hear what stuff is. So it is 22 past. Let's go into Zoom and say time. Let's bring up our chat window. Both Jasmine and Jeremy look like they are still deep in it. So we are going to
I was
highlight.
almost done.
No. So close. Okay, Jasmine's got
almost
their headphones in. I'll highlight it red just to make sure we definitely get their attention.
I made something random, and I was trying to finish the actual thing. Dang it. Can I explain it?
Well, I'm looking forward to you talking us through the last bit as well. But how was that? So, Omega, this is your second time in the arena. How was that for you? And then Jasmine and Jeremy, your first time, was it what you expected, or totally even more chaotic?
It was surprisingly chaotic. I'm not an adventure designer. Most of my stuff is rule supplements. So this honestly felt like whenever I have not prepared for my session and I'm just writing stuff down at the very last second.
What about you, Jeremy?
It took me a bit to get the idea. Once I had the idea, I was like, okay, I think I know what this is. But then I started writing backstory on the encounter, and only at the end does it become an encounter. And thankfully, the backstory kind of tells you how to do it. But it was. I always tell people like when I do commission writing and stuff like that, like I can get you, 10,000 words in, a day and a half, or I can get you 2,000 words in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
For me, it's a matter of like too much stuff and then trying to edit down. So I was in the writing too much stuff phase, but I actually think there's something here that a DM could theoretically run.
All right, cool. Well, let me let you all know what rubric we ended up with. We are grading on a scale of 1 to 5 missing socks. And our categories are least memorable NPC, most forgettable trinket, and most easiest to miss. Very broad. It could be the easiest to miss anything. We will discover together what that means.
I don't think I did. None of that's in mine. Maybe.
All right, Omega, walk us through your most forgotten realm.
So again, it won't make sense because I started typing a lot, and then like it became story based, and then like the actual encounter didn't get written down. And it's okay. It's cool. It's fine. This is the encounter's called Memoria. Because he said most forgotten realm. So I said, let's go with that. The synopsis is simply, the world is a prison dreamscape of color, fantasy, and power. Magic has sentience, and the land lives through you. But once a month, the world forgets it is back to square one. One person realizes this pattern and attempts to break it so they can escape this realm. So basically, they work up in a tavern. You know, it's cool. It's great. I got two story based versus actually giving them things to do, which is fine. But you know, they wake up in a tavern, and at an inn, you know, it's a tavern inn thing. And they come downstairs, like which a party probably would do, and the party goes like the barkeep. Like get some food or something, and they get a favor from the barkeep Minnie. Asked them to deliver a package to a wizard in town named Pamet. They seem to be good friends, and they promise him a bottle of their best. If they ask about the bottle, Minnie's gonna be like, "Nah, don't worry about it. It's a thing." But if they can do some persuasion, they let him know that it's a wine or something made from a rare flower born where the weave is most sentient. If they want to do a little inciting, the shows that they're a bit eager to get this bottle out, but for reasons unknown. It's a nice bottle. They tell them not to shake it. If they do shake it, that would be some problems, and I was going to talk about that later, and I forgot to do it. Oops. Because the contents are very volatile. Don't do it. But as they leave the inn at some point, there's a cart crash. Like two people going in the same direction on accident, and they hit. And if you help them, you can either do athletics to like lift the cart or some kind of magical means to get people out. They reveal, specifically two of the people revealed that they were trying to get out of town. They had a weird sense of deja vu ever since they arrived, and they can't shake it. Their names are Malu and Kofe. They are twin sorcerers, very much like Pinky and the Brain mixed with the sticky bandits from Home Alone, but good versions of them. So you can picture how that might go. They are, if they are told by the party that they're delivering a package, Malu hints that every night something gets weird really happens in the tower. It doesn't know, but seems like time stops. But they go on and they wake up and things just seem the same. The party is the first deferring variable to them. They tell the party to be careful. If the party helps them or like really helps them or does something to make them like, excited or happy, they'll give them a potion of resistance just because they got it. Why not? They're leaving, so they don't need it. Getting to the wizard's tower is easy, but getting in is a little hard because Pamet doesn't answer because wizards are stuck up and always in their work. Either to do a thieves tool check to get in, or again some arcane means to get inside. Once inside, there's some tower security that kicks in on accident, and this was meant to be like a mini encounter where they deal with two mimics and the butler, who's like a fledgling wizard. But the butler keeps yelling that they don't know why they're here, and they seem to be confused about awesome things. Don't really get that. But after the battle, they head upstairs to reveal that Pamet is working on a thing.
What a cliffhanger!
Yeah.
Okay, what would the encounter with Pamet have been?
Basically, Pamet was working on a spell that blended time, stop, and modified memory for something personal. And this bottle contained the last ingredients, the last spell component for their thing. But each time they cast it, the world reverses. So they're accidentally the Dark Lord of this realm, and they don't know it. Yeah, I was trying to get to all that. So they are the reason this realm is stuck in its own time loop. And they're eager to do it, and they won't stop it. And it's the whole thing. Yeah, I was going into that, but then crap.
That is a really cool concept.
Every single last name is memory in a different language.
No way! Wow! Cool Easter egg.
Yeah.
Cool Easter egg. I love that. So designing this, how do you feel like this deferred or was the same? So either you feel like you had more practice in designing encounters. I know that's something you mentioned last time, or that really feels like this is representative of my design style. How did it feel versus your first time on the Dash?
I think the first time I still had, some cute backstory and I had some good characters, but I really knew exactly what the encounter was going to be. So I really made it, interaction based. They were doing a lot of stuff. This one was really about the story.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that's kind of where I will, that's the route I'll take when designing my encounters. If I do more encounters, I think the story is important. And then you build the encounter around that. So I was trying to lay out some elements of the world-ish to show what it's like and what's going to happen within these things. But yeah, I think I start with the story and then get to the nitty-gritty of the actual encounter things that the party will do.
Yeah. I feel like, you called Pamet a Dark Lord, and that style of storytelling is very Ravenlofty, where it is about the story of the Dark Lord and characters interacting with and discovering or revealing that story. So that's pretty cool. Jack, did you have any first reactions or questions for Omega?
My first reaction was that when we were coming up with things, somebody had said the repeating week, and I was like, this is the whole, it's like a Groundhog Day, the setting. I was like, it's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. And I wonder if the characters are able to help break that if they succeed in the encounter and get stuff to Pamet in time. That really empowers them. They influence the world for sure. Very cool.
But also, getting it to Pamet might mean they are actually speeding this process up and everything starts over.
Oh, yeah.
The whole thing about figuring out exactly what the Nexus event, haha, Loki, figuring out exactly what the point is that things reverse every month, it seems.
Yeah, it gives me ideas of like Majora's Mask, where maybe they have to collect things and somehow do it over and over to get farther and farther. It's very cool.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk rubric then. Jack, how do you feel about the memorability of these NPCs?
They're all pretty memorable,
right?
Literally.
Yeah.
Except for the fledgling wizard butler that has no name. So
that's true.
That's one that's pretty forgettable.
Yeah, that's
You're probably
true.
Just gonna beat him up and forget about him.
Okay. Yeah, aside from that, I was like, can we give Omega negative socks because he made really memorable NPCs? I feel like you gave them really intriguing names, and that was even cooler once we realized where you got those names from. And then gosh, which NPC was it? Oh, the Pinky and the Brain mixed with the bandits from Home Alone. I thought I just feel like people might fall in love with them and then forget their main quest, even. So I don't know, but then I did forget about the butler. So I guess he is the least memorable NPC. Maybe for now we write down who the least memorable NPC is, and then we rank them after we've picked. Yeah. Okay. So for yours, it is the butler. What about forgettable trinkets? There's the bottle, but the bottle is like the main quest item.
You're not really gonna forget that.
Yeah, I don't know if other items were mentioned, but now I'm like,
did I forget?
Yeah. I'm seeing the mistake in our rubric. And this could be a problem.
I can't even remember if there was I think that somebody gets a potion.
Oh, yeah. I feel like that is maybe the most forgettable trinket because it's the sort of thing where you get something to help you along in your quest and then you totally forget to use it in the last encounter. Yeah. So we'll
you get home and you're like, oh, yeah, this would have helped me.
Yeah, like you never use no one ever uses their consumables except for healing potions.
They don't.
What about easiest to miss? Whatever you think that means.
Easiest to miss. You could probably completely miss the whole thing's repeating.
True.
If
Yeah.
you don't kind of tease out the information the right way, you could just get to the end and be like, cool, and then your DM's like, okay, you wake up and you're in a tavern and here's this, and you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I feel like there's multiple layers of things you could miss. You could miss
Mhm.
that. You could miss that there's sort of some nuance in whether getting them the bottle faster will help or hurt. And the like secret Easter egg with the names, people could
Yes.
totally miss. So if we're rating this in terms of missing socks, if I want to leave room for other people, since we haven't heard these other encounters, I would give this 4.5 missing socks, I think.
Agreed.
All right, 4.5 socks.
Is that pairs of socks? So you just have one sock?
2 pairs of socks and
And just
one
an
sock.
extra one.
Yeah, and an extra.
Oh, Jesus.
Omega, thank you so much for sharing your design with us.
Thank
we
you.
are going to move along to Jasmine. Let me get rid of this red. And to make sure folks can read along, I'm going to adjust the font size, if that's okay. We're going to bump it up. All right. Jasmine, walk us through your most forgotten realm.
Okay. I'm very intimidated to follow Omega's
Don't be.
limitations,
Please don't be. Yeah, I'm ready for this.
because that was amazing. But okay, so my most forgotten realm is it's essentially the dreamscape. The idea that you forget your dreams like very soon after you wake up.
Mm-hmm.
So for weeks now, your party has been plagued by bad dreams that linger with them for hours after the sun has risen, yet no one can remember the details of them when sleep is lifted from their eyes. In truth, they've been targeted by a night hag whose true name is Baba Kiasha, who's made it her personal mission to haunt the group. Baba Kiasha doesn't have any meaning. It doesn't mean anything in another language. I just needed a name to haunt the group, sapping their strength through their sleep before moving in tonight for the final kill. So I've really mostly just written down like the actual combat encounter that occurs during it. So the idea is that she's been going in and out of their dreams for the past few weeks, like sapping their strength as night hags do, lowering hit point maximums, but also like spying on the players, so like learning their weaknesses, their strengths. But most importantly, she's been able to bring them into her dreamscape, where she is going to essentially shatter their minds through combat.
You say that so casually. Okay. Just a little mind shatter.
Just a little bit.
That's kind of my DMing style when I like say something like, and my players are like, "Oh my god, how are you just dropping that on us?" And okay, so the combat arena, very conveniently for me, is literally anything that the DM needs because it's based on wherever the players fell asleep last. The idea is that the players don't actually realize that they're asleep at first. They would merely be implied that Baba Kiasha has ambushed them during their sleep in like the physical world and is just attacking them. This is to obfuscate the fact that she's on her home ground and she knows what she's doing and she can like sort of mess with the players beforehand. Whoever player can use their action to use a DC intelligence or wisdom perception check to figure out that they are in a dream, where they know stuff like, the walls are kind of shimmering, or like none of the writing actually makes sense in this room. It's all gibberish and stuff like that. Combat encounter, I have no idea how balanced this is. It's just a night hag and 1d4 shadows. Very easy to throw into like any kind of area. But the main aspect of like the combat encounter, the main mechanic, is that at the start of the combat, the DM can choose one item from each player's inventories to mysteriously vanish. And the idea is that Baba Kiasha has, stolen it from their dreamscape. And it's that feeling of like when you don't have any pants on in a dream, like something is just like missing and you're completely unprepared in the nightmare for what's about to happen. So, the DM can like take someone's armor or take their sword or take their spellcasting focus.
Oh,
and
no.
this is, of course, very dangerous. But any player that realizes they're in a dream can spend their action to make a DC 13 wisdom saving throw to remember their lost item and have it materialize with them again. So, this is them starting to fight back against the night hag and, turn it against them. And so afterwards, in order to like bring it into the greater plot hook. Once they manage to actually beat Baba Kyasha, hopefully they manage to beat Baba Kyasha, she will not be killed, but in her death knell, the location that they're in will like flash to her physical location so that they get a hint of where to track her down once they wake up.
Very cool. Okay, so my first reaction to this is that between Omega and Jasmine's encounters, you all have encapsulated part of why I really love Design Dash. People have really different design sensibilities and styles, and some folks really lean heavily on story and give a lot of like little evocative details that inspire the DM to maybe add on to the story and figure out the mechanics themselves. And Jasmine, you've like practically given us like an encounter that someone could like just run right away. Again, like you'd maybe want to revisit and balance and figure that stuff out. But that totally makes sense too, in that your strength is rules supplements. So I just think that's really cool. But also you made a really scary encounter, I think. Baba Kyasha is pretty scary. It seems so dangerous.
Yeah, I do like to make things that are just slottable into anyone's campaign. I like it when people can just take something and they haven't prepared anything that day and can take something that I've made and throw it in.
What I also love is that you've created like a neat little like this is an encounter in very much that it's not like, I feel like sometimes things could be practically an entire campaign on Dash rather than just one encounter. So still very evocative and interesting, but sometimes maybe too much that like no one could put in all of the mechanics and everything and make that playable in 15 minutes. But you focused on an encounter, but it's also like a seed for characters to have this nemesis in Baba Kyasha and maybe want to hunt her down. It could begin a campaign or like have a recurring villain. I think that's so cool.
Thanks.
Yeah. Jack, did you have any like first reactions to this encounter?
I like that Jasmine's first reaction is that Baba Kyasha has no meaning. That was my first thought. Was, oh, what does that mean? No, I thought it was really cool. I like setting up like a recurring villain. I think it's really cool to like we talked about while they were writing the pocket dimension kind of thing. That's really interesting.
Yeah. So Jasmine, I have a question for you. If you had, say, a week or 2 weeks or like as much time as you would want to finesse this encounter, where do you think you would focus your time? What aspects?
I would probably be focusing on like the stuff that happens afterwards. So like where Baba Kyasha actually is, for example. And probably like obviously I didn't have enough time to like make 3 night hags, but I would have liked to like actually turn it into a coven, stuff like that. And probably why she's targeting the players in the first place. Because right now she's just kind of doing it because she's a jerk.
Yeah. Yeah, Taloya in chat says, this encounter is one that is woven into a bigger story so easily, very inspirable and implementable in other campaigns. I think that's definitely a strength of this encounter in particular. So Jack, let's talk quickly about rubric. Having another encounter as sort of context for how we can grade least memorable NPC and most forgettable trinket, I feel like I want to go back and give Omega 3 socks for each of those categories.
Sounds good.
Okay. So, going into that, what would you say about least memorable NPC for this encounter?
I don't know that it's really just the villain, right? It's just one encounter. They don't meet anyone else.
Mm-hmm. So how forgettable we think Baba Kyasha is. And so I'll share what my thoughts are. On one hand, she's very forgettable because for the characters, because the whole point is that they're having dreams but not able to recall the details. But on the other hand, I think after the combat, she's extremely memorable because they probably hate her because this sounds like a really tough combat. Yeah. So I feel like that balances out, and I also want to give Jasmine 3 socks. That's my opinion.
I can agree with that.
Okay. What about most forgettable trinket or object?
Um, it has that really cool mechanic of
Mm-hmm.
the hags taking an item, and that's pretty cool. That it uses that real life, real world thing of like, because I've been in dreams, I've had dreams where I'm like, what am I missing?
Yeah.
And not being able to remember it. So like something is very forgettable, but you don't even know what you're forgetting.
Yeah.
It's so forgettable.
I totally agree. I feel like that mechanic even though it allows you to remember the item, it really puts a focus on the character has forgotten this in their dream. So I'm thinking at least 4 socks. What do you think?
4 socks is...
Okay. 4 missing socks. What about easiest to miss whatever?
Easiest. It's very easy to miss, right? You could not even realize you're in a dream.
Oh, that's true. There's that whole point of at first they're not supposed to realize they're in a dream. But there are clues for how they can.
Yeah. But if the players don't pick up on that, they just have an encounter that they're kind of confused by.
Mm-hmm. I do think if I were running it, though, the fun is them discovering that they're in a dream,
true.
Right? So you do want to drop those clues. I feel like I would give it 3, maybe even 4 missing socks in that case.
Sure.
Split the difference? 3.5.
3.5.
All right. Jasmine, thank you very much for sharing with us your dreamscape. And finally, we're going to end with Jeremy's design. Oh, goodness, the name of this one. I'm also going to adjust the font here so that folks can read along if they would like. Jeremy, walk us through the worst audition.
Well, I feel like I have the least high concept one of any contestant. It's like Omega's got like a full-on time loop where each character's name is memory, and Jasmine has like a dreamscape with like weaponized vivid dreaming. So like I just have auditioning because
look, as a performer, I get it. Continue, sorry.
You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, because I mean, like in my head, I think a lot about horror in games. You know what I mean, or at least like the players. There should be, you got to frighten their characters or something. Auditioning is just scary. A long time ago, I was a Shakespearean actor. A lifetime ago, and no, and I actually thought too about the dreams where you forget your lines.
That's giving me anxiety.
It's every actor's had it. Like if you've ever been on stage and we're supposed to remember lines, you've had that dream where you don't, and it's the worst. It's everybody talks about. This plays about having that. So I thought about a situation where it would be really bad to not be able to get your stuff exactly right, and in my work I tend to really do a lot of callbacks on lore. So there's Finder Wyvernspur, who was a famous bard who was in a bunch of Forgotten Realms novels a long time ago, but his shtick was he was obsessed with his work, like his songs and his poems and everything else being performed exactly the way he performed them. Like every note, like no artistic license whatsoever. He wanted, once he passed on, every future artist who performed his work to do it exactly the way he did it. And he got in a lot of trouble with that. And then so he even tried cloning himself. And in this case, he created one clone named who chose ironically to name himself Lord Unforgettable, and Lord Unforgettable was even more obsessed with this. Was even like because he over time kind of forgot that he was a clone and believed it was his work, and he wanted it preserved exactly as it had been originated by him, even though he ironically did not originate it. So he conquered an island and made it a kingdom. And it was like he made the whole kingdom revolve around this quest. So I should probably just read from my doc, actually. It conquered a small island in the Sea of Falling Stars, creating a kingdom that was a shrine to the songs, plays, and poems he considered his own. He mandated training in the art of the bard for all citizens and made auditioning for his operatic productions a requirement. However, his auditions were hellish torments. He created a stage that electrocuted those who failed to precisely replicate his dance steps, a construct that replicated a choreographed fight scene and slashed those who made different moves, a spell that inflicted psychic backlash on anyone who flubbed a line, and a theater that dropped heavy anvils on singers who couldn't hit the perfect note.
No.
Yeah. Which is only slightly more horrifying than audition is in real life. Just throw it out there. Many bright young performers died attempting to earn a spot performing for their cruel king. After decades of this tyrannical perfectionism in the name of artistic hubris, the dark powers of Ravenloft took note of Lord Unforgettable, and the mists enveloped his kingdom, which he had renamed Wyvernspur Isle. As part of his punishment, the dark powers erased all memories of the Lord's kingdom, history, and work from the realms, just as the original Finder Wyvernspur was erased from history by his fellow Harpers when they discovered his misdeeds, which is that's the actual lore. You can wiki that. In his domain, Lord Unforgettable is tormented by his inability to find any bard who can perfectly perform the songs and words he believes he composed, since he lives in denial of his existence as a clone. The PCs find themselves transported to the Wyvernspur Isle. I didn't mention the mists, but the mists of Ravenloft come and get you. It's supposed to be in it. Where they can only defeat Lord Unforgettable and go free by completing his cruel and impossible audition process.
Oh, cool. Okay, so I know you said it took you a while to come up with like what your concept was, but once you did, what a concept. This is both like whimsical and terrifying and sounds really fun. I'm also a big fan of Ravenloft, so something like fun, like music and singing made creepy, I'm totally about that. So
Omega's acapella bard would be tormented.
I'm never going there. No.
So I guess my first question would be, I imagine you would next discuss like how they could complete the audition process. So do you want to just give us a little taste of what you might have written if you had a little more time?
Yeah, well, what I actually would really like to do, well, number one, like, if a real encounter or something DMs to use, put down actual mechanics for stuff like getting electrocuted for not getting a dance step right and stuff like that. Like, oh, it does this much lightning damage and roll saving throws, stuff like that. But, so really it's a dungeon. It's a theater that's a dungeon. You know what I mean? So the stage is part of the dungeon, and there can be like the creepy under stuff if you go through the trapdoor on the stage, like the place under there where they keep the props, and like there's the big gallery where they hang the lights and where the giant anvils and other weights are. So it would really be a dungeon. So I'd want to develop that. And also there's a theoretical domain around it. There's these people who have to live in the society is devoted to nothing but this guy's work. And so I made the sort of classical error of focusing on the killer and not the victims, you know what I mean? Like you see in a lot of horror. But I want to know what it's like to live in this place. Like, who are these people who are trying to, like, they grow up, they have kids, they have jobs, they have lives while trying to please this sort of tyrannical dictator. So that's what I would want to do. I want to build a whole domain around it, not just the dungeon, if that makes any sense. Yeah. And then you go there and you interact with these people and you're trying to figure out what the deal is and why they're all so miserable. And then at a certain point, you realize you gotta go face the big torment, the big audition.
Oh my goodness. That I would love to explore this domain as much as Omega wants to avoid it, I think. Was getting into the challenge of Design Dash, how was it? Did it meet or I can't think of the word, but did it meet your expectations of what dashing was going to be like, or did it surprise you?
I was surprised that I didn't twig to my idea earlier, because like I done improv and stuff like that. Like, yes, and I could do all this stuff. You know what I mean? I was even thinking about like whose line is it anyway going into this, because the points don't matter, the rubrics don't matter, whatever. Mm-hmm. But I really took me a bit to really focus on an idea. Like I had a couple. But none of them like seemed fully formed enough to even write on. And then once I got an idea that actually like had something to it, I went. But I really thought, I'm a DM who likes to improvise at the table. I thought I'd take this, no problem. And there was a solid 60 seconds in there, just dead solid cold fear.
Oh no!
but I got past it. That's any kind of performance or art, in my opinion. The blank page is the most terrifying thing. Next audition.
Valid. Yeah. All right. Well, Jack, let's talk quickly about the rubric then. So, least memorable NPCs. What are your thoughts there?
I really like that you took kind of a forgotten real character from Forgotten Realms past. I don't know if
That's
it's
cool.
I guess it's kind of like an NPC.
Yeah.
So I would say that that's pretty cool, like a pretty good forgettable
True.
NPC.
True. Plus, Lord Unforgettable, who's a clone, forgets he's a clone. So he's kind of
Yeah.
forgotten who he
He's
is.
forgotten his own NPC.
Yeah. So I feel like they're like all the socks for
All the
Lord
socks.
Unforgettable. Truly. I'm just going to say all instead of writing down a number. What about in terms of objects and trinkets, though?
I don't know that there's any
Yeah.
objects or trinkets. There's anvils that fall on people's heads, but I don't know if they're gonna forget that.
Yeah, and I don't. Yeah, I'm gonna honestly say I'm sorry, but I gotta say like one missing sock for objects and trinkets. That's what my heart is telling me. But what about easiest to miss something?
Easiest to miss.
I also don't know if I'd say, like, while I love this encounter for this particular rubric category, I think Lord Unforgettable is pretty heavy-handed.
I think if we look at like the auditions themselves, it would be very easy to miss something and cause a bad encounter with something.
True.
It would be very easy to flub a line or get electrocuted by the stage.
Oh, true. Those additions at the beginning, too.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I want to say 2, maybe 3 missing socks then.
Yeah.
In that case. And again, I guess all of these are on the weird, like, pair and an extra sock, so. So we'll give 2.5 missing socks for that. So, oh my goodness, we are coming up at the end of our hour here on the Dash, and we have 3 really good, super different encounters. So I am glad that it is not in my hands who gets to return next month. Right after this episode, I'm going to go onto Twitter at DMs_guild. I will link to the VOD for folks who haven't seen the whole thing. And there will be a poll for you to vote for your favorite design and who you would like to return to suffer some more in this arena. Yeah, it's a really tough choice. I really have no idea on this one. But in the meantime, let us do some outros and remind folks who we are. And if there's anything you want to shout out, feel free to shout it out. We will start with Jeremy, who is a winner of the least memorable NPC today. Jeremy, let folks know who you are.
That sounds like an award one would not ever want to win, but all right. I'm Jeremy Forbing. I'm on DM's Guild. My most recent product is their Ravenloft Players Compendium, which is like 65 subclasses. So that's like $15. So it's pretty good value, even if the design is terrible, which I hope it isn't. But you can find my other stuff on there, Jeremy Forbing on DM's Guild, and you can find me on Twitter at Jeremy Forbing.
Lovely. Thank you, Jeremy. Jasmine, you are our champion of the most forgettable object or trinket. Congratulations! Let folks know who you've been.
Yeah, so you can find me on DM's Guild under Drifter's Game Workshop. Go find me over there. And if you want to follow me on Twitter at Drifter Workshop, that's fine. It's also a little weird that I won least memorable objects, seeing as how my supplements are mostly known for their item.
That's awesome. Thank you, Jasmine. And Omega, our champion of the most easiest to miss. Who knows what the rest of this category is?
Look, that's where I'm sitting at too. It's okay. Hi. Yeah, my name is Omega Jones, again, also known as Critical Bard across all social media channels. On DM's Guild, I have the College of Acapella, which is a bardic subclass inspired by harmony and being able to be inspired by yourself or with your group. And I also have the Path of the Belter, which is a barbarian path that basically lets you a sonic scream because we belt and scream your face off. So enjoy that. Yeah, you can find me everywhere with my name. I do a lot on Twitch. I'm a partner Twitch streamer. I do a lot of D&D, a lot of TTRPGs. Not much happening this weekend because it's 4th of July weekend. But yeah, just look at my socials and see what's up for me. That's me.
Thank you so much, Omega. Jack.
Hello, or goodbye. I am Jack. You can find me on Twitter at Jack's Not Funny. You can, I don't know, that's pretty much the only socials I really do. Keep making stuff for DM's Guild. You can always email me at One Bookshelf if you have questions. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
And I am Lysa Penrose, brand manager over at Dungeon Masters Guild. You can follow me personally on social media at Lysa Penrose, pretty much everywhere. And you can follow Dungeon Masters Guild on Twitter and Instagram at DMs_guild. A reminder, I'm about to go on Twitter and make a poll so you can vote for next month's Design Dash champion. So please go do that. And also check out that Nerd Immersion video I mentioned for more spotlighted DMs Guild titles. Until next time, everybody, I hope the dice roll in your favor. Bye, everyone.